When I first met Harper Lang, I thought she was the kind of neighbor everyone dreams of having. She was warm, always smiling, and seemed genuinely interested in people's lives. She'd just moved into the house next to mine, a pale blue two-story with white shutters, the kind of house that looked like it belonged in a suburban magazine. The day she moved in, she showed up at my door holding a tray of cookies and said, "Hi, I'm Harper. Thought I'd introduce myself before the gossip does." I laughed, not realizing how prophetic that little joke would turn out to be. My name's Elise Morgan, and I'd lived in the Crestview Estates neighborhood for nearly 5 years by then. I wasn't exactly best friends with anyone there, but I got along with everyone. Friendly nods at the mailbox, small talk at HOA meetings, the occasional brunch or birthday party. It was a peaceful, quiet kind of life, until Harper arrived. She had this magnetic charm. People were drawn to her. Within weeks, she'd become the unofficial center of every social circle. Everyone wanted to invite her, everyone wanted to talk to her. And naturally, I was one of her first friends. We started hanging out after work, coffee on my porch, wine in her backyard, long walks around the neighborhood where we'd talk about everything and nothing. I thought I'd found a genuine friend. She'd listen to me vent about work or dating, nodding sympathetically, occasionally cracking jokes that made me laugh even on my worst days. But there was something subtle I ignored at first, the way she always wanted to know a little too much. "So, what's going on with your ex lately?" she'd ask casually. Or, "Do you ever feel like Jenna from down the street is jealous of you?" I brushed it off. I thought she was just curious. Then, little things started to happen. I'd notice neighbors acting strangely. Quick glances, awkward pauses, forced smiles. One morning, when I stopped by the cafe near the park, the barista, who I knew vaguely, said with a smirk, "Heard you've been busy with your boss." I froze, confused. "Excuse me?" He shrugged. "Oh, nothing. Just something Harper mentioned the other day." My heart skipped. Busy with my boss? What did that even mean? I confronted Harper that evening, half laughing it off, but still uneasy. "You didn't say anything weird about me to people, did you?" I asked. She feigned innocence instantly, blinking like I'd accused her of something absurd. "What? Of course not. Who told you that?" Her tone was smooth, believable. I felt embarrassed for even asking. But over the next few weeks, the tension grew. At a neighborhood get-together, I caught snippets of whispers when I entered a room. Conversations died down, smiles felt too tight. I overheard one of the women, Lydia, mention something about me chasing married men. I felt sick. I didn't even know where that rumor came from. Or maybe I did. Harper was there that night, standing near the drinks table, chatting and laughing like she owned the place. She looked up, saw me across the room, and smiled warmly. That same sweet, innocent smile she'd worn the day she brought me cookies. I smiled back, but it felt different now. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying every conversation I'd had with her, every small thing I'd shared, personal details, frustrations, even confessions I'd only told her because she seemed trustworthy. It was like watching scenes of a movie where I was the gullible character walking straight into the trap. Around midnight, I sat up in bed, opened my phone, and scrolled through our messages. And that's when I saw it, a voice note she'd accidentally sent earlier that evening. I pressed play, curious. Her voice came through, muffled laughter under it. "Oh my God, Lydia, you won't believe what Elise told me this time." My blood turned to ice. She was gossiping about me, again, but this time I had proof. I listened to the rest in stunned silence. She'd twisted my words, exaggerated them, and shared my private stories like party entertainment. Worse, she made up things I'd never said. When the clip ended, I stared at my phone, shaking. Then I did something I'd never done before. I played it again, and this time I hit record. The next morning, I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her outright. People like Harper thrived on drama. If I accused her, she'd twist it, act like I was paranoid or insecure. No, I needed to be smarter than that. I needed to make sure that when her mask fell, it wouldn't just fall, it would shatter. I started paying attention, listening, observing. I noticed she had a habit of sending voice notes. She preferred them over texts because, as she said, they feel more personal. What she didn't realize was that those little voice notes were her weakness. And if she liked to gossip, I was about to give her something worth talking about. Over the next few weeks, I fed her small, harmless pieces of bait. I told her I was thinking about quitting my job because of issues with my boss. I mentioned that Lydia's husband had been acting strangely nice to me. I even hinted that I'd been considering moving because I didn't feel comfortable around certain neighbors. Each time, Harper gasped sympathetically, promising she'd never tell a soul. And each time, within days, I'd hear the same stories being whispered back to me through someone else. It was like clockwork. What she didn't know was that I'd started recording. Every voice note she sent, every time she badmouthed someone else, every lie she spread, I saved it. I even captured one particularly cruel message she sent to someone else about Lydia's teenage daughter, mocking her weight. When I played it back, her laughter echoed coldly through my phone. By the end of the month, I had over 20 minutes of audio, her voice, crystal clear, tearing people down behind their backs. I had her bragging about manipulating neighbors, pretending to be nice while calling them boring, desperate, or fake. It was all there, and I knew exactly what to do with it. Crestview Estates was hosting its annual summer barbecue soon, the biggest event of the season. Everyone would be there. Food, drinks, music, and most importantly, gossip. Harper had volunteered to help organize it. Naturally, she loved being at the center of attention. I, on the other hand, had been quietly preparing something else. The night before the barbecue, I set up a small Bluetooth speaker in my backyard. It connected to my phone seamlessly. I created a single audio file, a carefully edited montage of Harper's worst moments, spliced together perfectly so there was no mistaking her voice or intent. It started with her laughing about me, then Lydia, then two other neighbors. Each clip short, devastating, and undeniable. The final line she said, and I made sure this one ended the recording, was her voice, low and venomous. Honestly, these people are so gullible. I could say anything and they'd believe me. Even Elise, she's so easy to play. When the next evening arrived, the smell of grilled food filled the air. String lights hung between the yards, laughter drifted through the summer night, and music played softly in the background. Everyone was there, including Harper, dressed in a floral sundress, moving from group to group like a queen greeting her subjects. When she saw me, she waved cheerfully. "Elise, I was hoping you'd come. You always bring the best sangria." I smiled. Of course, wouldn't miss it. As the night went on, I waited. People gathered around tables, kids ran through sprinklers, and the mood was light and easy. Then, around sunset, I stood near the grill and tapped my glass. "Hey everyone," I said loudly enough to draw attention. Before dessert, I thought it'd be fun to play something. A little neighborhood appreciation montage. Harper clapped her hands together. "Oh, how fun!" I smiled at her, calm and collected, then hit play on my phone. At first, the crowd laughed, expecting music or a joke. But as Harper's voice filled the air, the laughter died instantly. "Oh my God, Lydia, you won't believe what Elise told me this time." Heads turned. Lydia froze. Harper's smile faltered. The recording continued, seamless and sharp, jumping from one snippet to another. Harper mocking Lydia's husband, making fun of Mark for losing his job, calling Emily a wannabe influencer with no style. With each voice note, the crowd's silence deepened. Gasps rippled through the air. Someone muttered, "Is that Harper?" Another whispered, "It's her voice." I didn't move. I just stood there, arms folded, watching her face crumble in real time. "Honestly, these people are so gullible," her recorded voice said, echoing into the night. "I could say anything and they'd believe me. Even Elise, she's so easy to play." Then came silence. Not a word, not a laugh, not even the chirp of crickets. Harper stood frozen, pale, her mouth opening and closing without sound. Lydia turned to her, eyes blazing. "You talked about my daughter?" she hissed. I didn't..." Harper stammered, reaching out, but no one listened. People started moving away from her, whispering in disgust, shaking their heads. She looked around helplessly, tears welling up. "Elise," she whispered, "how could you?" "Play your own words?" I said quietly. "I didn't have to say anything, Harper. You said it all yourself." The barbecue ended early that night. People left in clusters, murmuring. No one said goodbye to her. She stood alone in the middle of the yard, her perfect smile gone, clutching her drink like a lifeline. I went inside, turned off the lights, and watched from the window as she eventually walked home, shoulders slumped, her carefully crafted facade collapsing under the weight of her own lies. The next morning, her house was quiet. Days passed, and she stopped showing up at gatherings. Rumor was she tried to apologize to a few people, but no one wanted to hear it. She put her house up for sale 2 weeks later. One evening, as movers carried boxes out of her front door, she came to mine. She looked different, smaller somehow, her usual confidence replaced by something brittle. "You really got me," she said softly. "I guess I deserved it." I met her eyes. "You didn't have to be cruel, Harper. You could have just been real." She sighed. "I don't even know who the real me is anymore." Then she walked away. When her car finally pulled out of the driveway, I felt something unexpected. Not guilt, not satisfaction exactly, but closure, like a door had finally been shut on the noise she brought into my life. Over time, the neighborhood calmed again. People smiled more genuinely, conversations felt lighter. Lydia and I actually grew closer, bonded, ironically, by the chaos Harper had caused. Sometimes we'd laugh about it, though there was always that faint, shared understanding in our eyes. Never again. I kept that recording, locked away in a folder on my computer, not because I planned to use it again, but because it reminded me of something important, that kindness without boundaries can turn into a weapon against you. That trust should be earned, not freely given to anyone who smiles sweetly and brings cookies. And sometimes, the sweetest revenge isn't yelling or fighting or stooping to someone's level. It's just letting the truth speak, in their own voice, for everyone to hear. You've just stepped into her revenge side, where every wound finds its justice, and every silence ends with truth. If her story struck a chord, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps these stories alive. Another secret waits in the next video. See how her revenge begins.